Abortion kills a human being, and that's not something I'm going to particularly stay silent on.
Is access to abortion a question of law, health, or morality? Or is it a question of who has control over one's body? In 2024, 0.25% of all women in Germany were recorded to have had an abortion, compared to 0.33% in the United States. An abortion is the deliberate, premature termination of a pregnancy. Around 100,000 abortions are performed in Germany every year. The reasons for having an abortion can vary. In Germany, abortion is generally regulated by the criminal code. At the same time, the law provides for certain situations in which abortion remains punishment-free. The most common case is the so-called counseling regulation. Termination of pregnancy is also exempt from punishment if there are medical reasons, and in the case of pregnancy resulting from a sexual offense. Laura had an abortion 6 years ago and founded the project Talk Abortion Afterwards.
When I had my own abortion, I always wished that I could talk to someone who had been through the same experience, and perhaps I can be that person for others. Combined with the fact that there was a lack of information at the time, I had this desire to have a point of contact, a website where people could be referred to and where they could find information, testimonials, and an email address they could contact. The idea then developed into having a place where you can safely refer people when they are looking for information, but also a point of contact for a more personal exchange.
Laura experienced many obstacles during her abortion process. So do many other pregnant women in the German healthcare system. Criticism is leveled at supply shortages in rural areas, financial barriers, and mandatory consultations, which are not always perceived as impartial. Can consulting centers be neutral when they represent different values? Donum Vitae is a German consulting center whose values are based on the Christian view of humanity.
So that means we see conversation as is our duty, as is the duty of all counseling centers. And then we also try to give a voice to the unborn life. I already mentioned the concept of dual advocacy. Perhaps some people take our counseling more serious than others. I don't want to judge that. But we take it seriously in any case, and that is what we demand ourselves.
Access to abortion varies greatly depending on the country.
Basically, we are very fortunate to have this law because in America, firstly, it is very ideologically loaded or even overheated. Then, of course, we have a federal legislation while they have state legislation. So it's a patchwork blanket of what ideas prevail where. And it's largely a matter of faith, quote unquote, a battle line.
The so-called patchwork blanket repeatedly forces pregnant women in the U.S. to cross state borders in order to have an abortion.
The state that I live in has a 6-week abortion ban. I found out at 5 weeks. And I also just felt really weird about getting abortion in my state because I heard that there are a lot of traps for women in this state, like clinics that will pretend to be abortion clinics, but actually keep women there and guilt trip them into not getting an abortion. So I went to a neighboring state to Planned Parenthood. They were very, very sweet to me.
Since Dobbs v. Jackson in 2022, reproductive rights are very restricted in some states, for example in Alabama or South Carolina. Some organizations like Pro-Life Greenville, South Carolina still fight to further restrict reproductive rights.
So both my personal belief and the belief of Pro-Life Greenville is basically a total abortion ban from fertilization when life begins. We do not support exceptions for rape and incest. I personally have a lot of friends who were conceived in those horrible acts. We don't believe that those human beings should be punished for the sins of another person. We do support life of the mother exceptions. Those exceptions are included in every pro-life law currently on the books in the United States.
But there are also organizations fighting for more reproductive rights. One of those is the If, When, How organization.
We are a free and confidential legal service that anyone all over the country, no matter their age or immigration status, can call if they have questions about their legal rights or their legal risk as it pertains to any reproductive decision that they may want to make. So our organization strives for a future where everyone gets to make decisions about their family, about their bodies, again, without fear of criminalization or fear of of punishment, right? And so part of that work is thinking about ways in which we can utilize legal systems to advance that fight, but also empowering people and their communities so that everyone can live without barriers or coercion or punishment. And people deserve safety and dignity.
The debate surrounding access to abortion remains emotionally charged in both Germany and the US, as different voices from the fields of law, health, and morality continue to clash with one another.
Die Rechte, die wir erkämpft haben.
The rights we have fought for will not remain as a gift, but we must continue to fight for them again and again.
Wieder weiter einsetzen.